Hello everybody! Welcome to my new YouTube video. Today I want to talk about traveling. Traveling is a huge passion of mine, but it actually is most of the time not sustainable at all. As long as you're not walking, biking or sailing through the world, it's most likely that you're using some kind of fuel-driven motor or something to get you from A to B. As soon as you use transportation, traveling has a huge carbon footprint. Even a train that runs on electricity has to be produced first, and the whole railways have to be taken care of, and so most likely it's still a much more sustainable option to just stay at home. Okay, maybe if you live in a train, then in comparison with your apartment, maybe the train is better. As long as you have an apartment while traveling, traveling is just an extra weight on your sustainability scale. With that information we have on traveling, it would be the best option to just stay at home. Maybe some people do that because they really focus on living eco-friendly, and I consider myself being a person that focuses on living eco-friendly as well, but not traveling would not be an option for me. I travel to see nature, people and our beautiful planet. So I'm traveling out of the same reason as I'm trying to live a more eco-friendly life. So far in my life, I've only been flying to 2 destinations. One was Norway and one the islands of the Azores. And that was in 2017 and 2018. 2019 I haven't been flying so far, and most likely I'm not gonna fly because there's nothing planned and there's not so much left from 2019. But in the future I think I will not be able to avoid flying completely. For transportation options, various studies have shown that most of the time taking a long distance bus is the most sustainable way to go. But if you can take a train that runs on electricity, that's, I think, as good as a bus, because it does require some energy to be produced and maintained, but I think electricity is so much better for the future than fuels, which are required to drive the bus usually. Planes, of course, are most of the time not eco-friendly at all, but sometimes planes are better than cars, at least if you're driving in a car alone instead of like being in a plane with a lot of other people. At least when it is a long distance flight, because short distance flights are usually a lot heavier on the environment, just because starting and landing is the things that need the most energy. So I think that environmental cost of getting from A to B is not something that I can avoid completely, because it's not an option for me either to just walk or bike wherever I want to go. And I can't sail. That would be a great thing to learn, but at the moment I can't do it, and so I will have to take a bus, a train, or even a plane in the future to get to places. But when you're there, there's still so much you can do to prevent a huge carbon footprint. For example, just try to do whatever you do at home as well. So for myself, I would try to get groceries as zero waste as possible. I would never buy water bottles if there's any other option to drink the water out of the tap, or like cleaning it before you can drink it or something like that. And I for sure would try to recycle the waste I'm producing. Sometimes I think that's very hard when you're not in your hometown or like in your environment, because sometimes recycling systems are different, or there's no recycling options at all. So what is very important to me is, of course, taking your trash with you. Like littering is not an option, and I usually take trash I see along the way with me and discard that as well. So at least I can take something out of nature and contribute to a cleaner environment. Sometimes while traveling I have to make quick decisions because a plan I had that does not work. For example, if I planned to hitchhike from one destination to another and there are absolutely no cars that would take me, we had to take a taxi instead in the past. So that's something that's not very eco-friendly, and of course that's not the thing of my choice, but sometimes it's just not possible with the time you have or at the place you are. So I think while traveling, sometimes living eco-friendly is a lot harder than while you're at home, but you can still try, and trying is everything we can do. And so it's still not a reason to not travel, I think. What I did so far to make sure that my trips and adventure are as eco-friendly as possible is trying to stay in one place as long as possible. So not just flying somewhere for a few days and then flying back, but trying to get the most out of the journey, out of the way there and back. I know that's not always possible for everybody because sometimes you just don't have that much time, but just spend as much time as possible in one location, or at least in one area with like short journeys in between. What's great too is finding very interesting, adventurous things to do around your house. So, I mean, around my house, yeah, you can extend that. I live in southern Germany, and I would try to like maybe do something in Germany or at least in Europe, because there's so much to do in Europe, and I'm sure wherever you live there's so many opportunities as well. What I did, for example, was when I moved to Stockholm, we took the train. It took 24 hours. That was kind of a lot, but it was a nice experience as well, and it wasn't that expensive, and it was much more eco-friendly than flying, for sure. And we cannot forget that for some people, traveling initiates the thought and the desire to live more eco-friendly. If travel can make a difference for so many people, and then after traveling and seeing the world, so many people decide to try living more eco-friendly, I think that's maybe worth it. For me, traveling is just something that has a lot to do with living. When I live, I want to explore my surroundings, and by surroundings I mean my whole planet. So it's absolutely not an option to not explore that. But of course, it's very important that we try to find more eco-friendly options all the time. I think compensating your flight, for example, is a great thing if you really can't avoid flying, but it will never be the same as just not flying. So it's always better to not fly, but if you can't avoid it, compensating is a good thing too. Our world is a beautiful place, and I think everybody should be able to explore it. Some people might go further than others, and I think if you see the world and its beauty, it really helps you protect our planet, and seeing what we can protect and what we have to protect in order to be able to explore our planet in 50, 100 or 150 years. If you have any further tips and tricks and knowledge maybe about how to make your travel experience more sustainable, leave a comment below so that everybody can try to make their trips more sustainable. Consider subscribing if you like this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!